Get ready for summer with this cocktail right here. This week, let me show you how to make a cocktail called Ready for Summer. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the Whiskey Nerd, and like I said, today we're getting ready for summer with a cocktail called Ready for Summer. And I got the idea for this cocktail earlier on this week when myself and my wife Rose reviewed the Redbreast 15-year-old. I'll put a link to that review up there if you want to check that out. But today you might notice I'm not using the Redbreast 15, so I actually looked on the Middleton website because I didn't want to use that kind of expensive, hard to find whiskey in a cocktail. So I went to the Middleton Distillery's website and I found this recipe here. I'll put a link to it down below if you want to check it out. But it's a very nice, kind of sweet, kind of spicy, quite summery little drink. For the ingredients, it obviously uses whiskey, Irish whiskey, in this case Jameson Black Barrel, which is a nice, rich, quite spicy, quite sweet, quite enjoyable little Irish whiskey. Comes in at 40% alcohol by volume, so it's not super heavy, but at the same time it has that extra charred barrel, so it does have a nice bit of character. And for use in a highball, you don't really want a cocktail that's hard, that's hard to drink. You want a whiskey that can kind of blend in with the other flavors. Speaking of other flavors, we've got some fresh ginger root. Now I've already peeled a few pieces of fresh ginger, which I'll be using later on, but basically just grab a piece of ginger, tear off a bit and peel it off. I've also got a few blackberries. Again, these are quite nice, quite sweet, quite rich and full flavor. Just going to give us a little bit of like a tang, a bit of a tart flavor, but also a nice bit of color to our cocktail. We've also got some citrus. So this is freshly squeezed lemon juice, which is going to give us a nice bit of zing for a cocktail, especially a highball. For me, I think a bit of citrus works really well because it's one of those flavors that adds a bit of contrast, adds a bit of lightness, and works well with whiskey. We've also got, for sweetness, this is Orgeat. Now this is just store-bought Orgeat, which store-bought Orgeat rhymes. I didn't think about that before, but store-bought Orgeat, which I put into a nice little glass container here, just because that's an almond kind of syrup. You can make alcoholic versions, you can find alcoholic versions. This isn't an alcoholic version of it, it's just a nice shelf-stable almond flavored syrup. And then at the end, because it is a highball, we are going to be topping it off with some ginger ale. This here is Fever Tree spicy premium gingery and fresh ginger ale. So for me, I always like using a good ginger ale because if you think about it, this is actually a lot of the cocktail, so you want to use a good kind of premium mixer. And since we are using fresh ginger, we're going to get a lot of spicy notes from that, so using a good spicy ginger ale or ginger beer is going to add to those flavors. And that's enough time talking about the cocktail. It's time we make it. It is going to be a shake and drink, so we're going to get our shaker tin, but before we add ice to it, we're going to add in two of our blackberries and two kind of good size chunks of that fresh peeled ginger. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a muddler. I'm just going to muddle that down. You do have to work a little bit to break down that ginger because it is a bit hard, as you can tell there, but once you break that down, you get this really lovely, rich, almost spicy, almost hot flavor. So it does give a nice bit of flavor to the cocktail. So I'm just going to muddle this for a couple more seconds to get all that nicely broken down. Okay, I think all that is nicely broken down now, so I'm going to pop my muddler in there and I'm going to get ready to throw in the rest of my ingredients. First off, I'm going to pop in a nice rock of ice, and then we're going to measure out our ingredients. Starting off with our whiskey, we're going to go in with 50 ml of a nice, like I said, Irish whiskey. You don't have to use Jameson Black Barrel, you can use whatever whiskey you want, but for me 50 ml of this is a very nice little amount. And like I said, it doesn't kind of overpower the cocktail, and because it's a highball, you don't want it to be like a really strong, like spirit forward cocktail. You want it to be something that's nice and light, easy to enjoy and easy to drink. So there was 50 ml of our whiskey, and we're going to go in with half that amount, or 25 ml of our freshly squeezed lemon juice. That's going to give us, like I said, a nice bit of zing, a nice bit of citrus light to the cocktail without, again, overpowering the rest. Then we're going to go in with our Orgeat. Like I said, nice rich almond syrup, and you might not think almond is a great idea, but here, because we've got that really spicy fresh ginger in there, the bit of almond actually almost calms it down, almost like cools it down, so it becomes a quite nice balanced little cocktail because of that little bit of almond. So I'm going to just knock off that last bit of blackberry that was on my muddler, pop the lid on my shaker tin and shake it away for about 20-25 seconds to get everything nice and mixed. Okay, I think that is nicely mixed up now, and because we had that big rock of ice, that's also going to help kind of break down that ginger helped get us that nice rich flavor into the cocktail. So before we strain out, I'm gonna get a nice highball glass, gonna pop a nice spear of ice into there, and then I'm gonna pop my strainer up top to catch that ice. I don't want to catch all the pulp, but I do want to catch a fair amount of it. So what I'm going to do with my Hawthorne strainer is just push it down like that to force everything to go through that wire coil, because you don't really want to be drinking a lot of like ginger bits. So here we're just going to get a little bit of that ginger. It does take a little bit longer to get through into the glass, but it does mean that what we get in the cocktail is going to be much easier to enjoy, because we don't want to be drinking like spicy ginger into your mouth. You don't want that kind of bad surprise. You might see the glass not fully full. That's because, like I said, we're going to be topping it off with a nice bit of ginger ale. You don't have to be really precious about this. For me, I was just going to give it up to the top, just like that, let it settle, and then give it a little bit more, just to make sure you have a nice full cocktail. And then for a garnish, what I'm going to do, get a couple more blackberries, pop it on a stick, just like that, settle it in, and then with a straw, pop it in. And that right there is how I get ready for summer. Now real quick before I taste this cocktail, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews every Wednesday, and I put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey like this every Friday. So if you want to see more like that, make sure you hit subscribe. And while you're down there, let me know if there's any kind of cocktails you want me to make in future. But for now, let's taste this one right here. Cheers. Oh, that is lovely. It is bright. Like I said, that ginger root, that using that fresh ginger root here, like it's got quite a bit of spice to it. So you get this nice hit of brightness, but it's not spicy like a chili or anything like that. That's not like a spicy margarita. It just gives you a bit of warmth, a bit of heat. This is absolutely the kind of cocktail that I could see being drunk at like a beach. It's a hot day outside. It's a bit long. It's got that nice bit of ice in it. So it's gonna be quite cool, but at the same time, you got that kind of berry note coming through. You got a bit of citrus. You got the nice rich whiskey flavor. The little bit of almond syrup, it just serves to kind of balance everything out, keep that citrus, that tart blackberry note, the sharp kind of ginger. It keeps everything just a little bit checked out. It keeps everything a little bit smoother and rounded off in the cocktail. The blackberries don't just give a nice rich color to the cocktail, they also do give, like I said, that little bit of tart kind of red berry note that makes it much more kind of easy to enjoy. So I don't know why I put it down. I'm going to keep on enjoying it, and I will see you next time. Slán.